Alright, so in this video we're talking about Chapter 9 of the ACE Personal Trainer exam. Now, this is not an all-inclusive Chapter 9 study plan because it's a very large chapter, so if I don't get to your question in this video, please leave me a comment down below and I'll do my best to help you out. So, the first thing I want to talk about is force coupling relationships. This is covered in your book and it talks about how not every muscle works in isolation. In fact, most muscles do not work in isolation. So the example here that they give that I think is pretty good is your erector spinae and your hamstrings. So your erector spinae is going to pull up, your hamstring is going to pull down, and then on the anterior side of your body you've got your rectus abdominis and your hip flexors. So your rectus abdominis is going to pull up while your hip flexors are going to pull down. So you've got those four muscle groups kind of almost working against each other, but working together all at the same time, if that makes sense. If not, do a little bit more research on that, but that is a good concept to understand for sure. Now, before I go on to my next tip, I just wanted to say if you're finding this video useful, please leave me a thumbs up by hitting that like button. Also, consider subscribing because I do other videos on this channel about studying for the ACE Personal Trainer exam, as well as some basic movement patterns and exercises to kind of help get you on your way with your first client. Type 1 and Type 2 muscle fibers. You may be familiar with these already, but a couple things that they may kind of throw a curveball at you with in relation to the muscle fibers would be Type 1, stability and endurance. Type 2 is going to be power. So I just kind of, sometimes they throw little curveballs in there like that, so that would just kind of be a good thing to know. Okay. GTO, golgi tendon organ, and autogenic inhibition. I can't tell you how many times I studied this and read it in the chapter and still had no idea what they're talking about. So, yeah, YouTube was really how I figured this one out. And even if my explanation makes sense to you, I highly recommend you do the same because it just, that's just kind of what it took for me to make that mental connection. So, use my bicep as example. So the GTO, golgi tendon organ, is within the tendon. Remember, tendon is what connects muscle to bone, as opposed to a ligament which connects bone to bone. So the GTO, the golgi tendon organ, is within the tendon. Now, let's say I'm holding a dumbbell in this arm, and there's a lot of pressure on my muscles and the tendon because of that heavy dumbbell that I'm holding. At some point, the GTO is going to say, hey, I think we're going to rupture here. We need to release some of this tension and extend your arm. That's what the GTO, that's what autogenic inhibition is. Auto meaning self. So self-inhibition, it's inhibiting the muscle within itself there to lengthen that, to reduce the load so that you don't have some kind of rupture in there. Do not get this confused with reciprocal inhibition. Reciprocal inhibition is if I were flexing my bicep, the tricep would relax to allow the bicep to contract. Because if you're trying to flex your bicep, you don't want your tricep competing with it. That's reciprocal inhibition. All right, couple other random things. Sarcomeres. Sarcomeres is a good thing to understand. If you don't know what they are, do a little bit of research on that. But a good situation to know them in would be like postural deviations. The ACE exam is really big on postural deviations, so make sure you understand those, understand what they look like, how to correct them, those kind of things. So I'll put this in that type of scenario because that's likely how it'll occur on the exam. If, let's say we're dealing with rounded shoulders, okay, so someone's got this rounded posture, their chest muscles are going to be shortened. If their chest muscles are shortened, they're going to lose sarcomeres. You've got hundreds of thousands of sarcomeres within a muscle. As they're in that shortened position, you're going to lose sarcomeres. Now you can get sarcomeres back by stretching the chest, by really opening up that chest and doing some chest stretches. It doesn't occur just one time. You have to stretch several times over the course of weeks and even months to lengthen those chest muscles and therefore regain those sarcomeres. So just keep that in mind. But again, sarcomeres are good. I mean, they're not like a huge part of the exam, but they're good to know. Make sure you understand what they are. My last piece of advice, which actually applies to studying for this exam as a whole, in every chapter you've got the key concepts. First of all, make sure you know the key concepts, because those are really important. But treat them as exactly that, concepts, not questions. Don't memorize that paragraph or two in the key concept and think that they're going to ask it to you exactly like that on the exam. That's not going to happen. You have to truly understand the concept. If you try to memorize your way through this exam, your chances of passing are very, very low. Make sure you understand the concepts that they're teaching you here, and you'll be much better off than trying to memorize things. And it's going to better prepare you as a personal trainer if you truly understand these concepts, because this is practical stuff that you will be using with your clients. So, that's all I have for you. I hope this is helpful. If you enjoyed this, please leave me a thumbs up by hitting that like button, share this with a friend, or leave me a comment down below if you have questions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.